Hello again, welcome to Iron Horse Weekly. This week coming up, we've got a little bit of a chat to have about Hornby. They've had a little bit of a rough time recently and I think they need a bit of a break. So I've got Class 37 from Jen. She sent me it over to weather it up and make it look a little prettier. Obviously the Class 37 from Hornby is built to a price, so bear that in mind. But it's still a decent model for 80 quid. So we're going to look at weathering that, but before we do, let's have a look at what I've been up to over at Settle this week. So I had a couple of days off this weekend and decided to head over to the DCC Concepts Open Weekend. This is behind the scenes, if you will. This is what you would call, I suppose, their warehouse shop, loading bay area. And it's home to their fantastic switchback layout. Now, this is based on an American logging scene, but it just shows what you can do with all the tech that DCC Concepts offer. And as you can see, this little layout involves locos going from the bottom left corner all the way up to the top. And as you can see, this loco is about to move off in a minute. It's all automated using point motors and ABC sections and magnetic relays and everything else. So if you ever get a chance to see this layout in person, do have a look at it. Now this is really interesting. Behind the signal box over at Settle, which is usually fenced off and closed, is this little section of track with a little engineer's wagon. And it's also got a setup of point locks on there, and it gives you an idea of how, sidings would work. But there's also an automatic detonator placer. Now I always thought detonators were placed by hand. I had no idea you could pull a lever and set them by remote from the signal box. Speaking of the signal box, let's have a look inside, shall we? Now this thing has been beautifully restored by the friends of Settle Carlisle line, and they've done an amazing job. There's all sorts to look at in here as well. All the point runnings have been cleaned up, the levers have been cleaned up, the brass has been polished. And this gentleman to the left there was giving us a really nice lecture about what all the various components did back in the days of the what I like to call the analogue railways, or the days of steam, if you will. Plenty of buttons and bells and whistles to push, pull and jingle. But what took my interest was this little logbook, which I'll put on the screen now. This was an actual register from one of the final days of steam from this actual signal box, and you can see here all the reporting codes, arrivals and type of trains which arrived at the signal box here at Settle when it had a big goods yard attached to it. As a lot of stations did back in the day, things obviously shrank and what have you and moved on. And Settle was one of the stations which got bitten. And you can actually look at the original track plan for Settle, which is just coming up on the screen now. And as you can see, if you compare what Settle used to be to what it is now, it's huge. You've got loads of sidings, you've got cattle docks, there's a little quay there, what you had, office, booking hall. Really interesting to see. Anyway, let's have a look at this next bit. So with a bit of clever video editing, I'm actually pulling the point levers and the signal levers, and from the outside, that's what was actually happening. So it's really interactive. And I have to admit, that was the most fun I've had pulling a lever in my hand for a long time.
There you go. I got some.
But then, so it started raining for the first of many times. But nonetheless, it was an excellent day out, so thank you everyone at DCC Concepts for making it an enjoyable time. Now then, let's get to the issue of Hornby, shall we? Okay then, so, as before, we're going to do a really nice, simple weathering on this Class 37 that Jenny Kirk has been going through the upgrading process for. Nothing complicated going on here, no fancy camera work or complicated airbrush techniques or anything like that. We're just using a few basic simple materials. So, without further ado, we're going to continue. So you see, I've just done a little bit on this side to begin with. And what we'll do is start again on the other side so you guys can see. And all I've done before starting this, I took some Hornby mask oil and just gently painted over the windows so that any powders and things don't get all over the windows, apart from a little bit there at the front where we want it to appear dirty and what have you. So your makeup brush there, two of them, one big brush for blending and small brush for application, because you don't need much of this stuff. Hornby black. And I'm not basing this off of any particular locomotive. I'm just going off what I've seen online, in real life, in person, what have you. And we're just going to make it look nice and work worn using a few weathering powders and what have you. So, alright then, so we're going to speed things up a little bit just to get through the bulk of this. We're going to start by just dabbing a little bit of the powder onto a nice fluffy makeup brush, essentially. Now, the surface of this locomotive isn't prepared with anything at all. It's got a nice, quite grabby surface to begin with. And all I'm going to do to wipe it off is, believe it or not, just wet the end of this little cotton bud on the tip of my tongue. And it's as simple as that. It's the organic approach is what it is. It's the organic method of removing weathering powder from your model, and it's safe, it's natural and all the rest of it. And we pay particular attention to the grills, the doorways, the frames, etc, etc. If you can, try to use some sort of a reference picture. Now, I've done quite a few Class 37s, so I've got a rough idea in my head anyway of what I want this one to look like. Not too heavy, you know, not too clean. I mean, 37s back when they were in the workaday locos on the network, they really did get super dirty. So don't be frightened of making some really bold streaks with the Q-tips there. And that's all we're going to do. We're just going to apply the powder, use the nice big fluffy makeup brush, and then occasionally you're going to go ahead and take a nice big clean blending brush and just do circular motions like this, and you can see how it spreads out the powder across the piece, and then up and down, up and down, up and down, like a scratching motion. And that gets the direction of the dirt to follow the flow of the body rather than just being sort of random and everywhere. But you can get some really good effects just by messing with it. And of course, because we haven't pre-treated this with any kind of harsh chemicals, getting it off and adjusting it and making it suitable is really simple to do. We just need to wet the end of the little cotton bud again and remove what you don't want. You could in fact just start again with this entire piece and wouldn't make a blind bit of difference. So just keep that in mind. Now we're going to let the music play and we can watch this piece evolve just using the same techniques that I've been using so far. Just dabbing the powder on dry and wiping away what we don't like. Down there as well. Any particular areas you want clean. A little more in the way of faded, a bit more dirty, what have you. And you're thinking, oh, I can't see the swallow liver now, but what's this? Bring it back through. There we go. Look at that. Absolutely cracking. You can use a wash to do some of these techniques as well. I just honestly prefer the powders. I just seem to be able to work them well enough to get a result that I deem acceptable. Get a bit in that door there. And those of you that have been doing long enough will know that 37s are this dirty. Very common. Some ends are often dirtier than others for some reason. Probably to do with the way they've travelled. But again, like I said, you can go as dirty or as clean with this as you want. Okay. We'll do the other side later on. That's our first side done. Roof is okay. Now I'm just going to give the roof a wipe down off camera because I've got some fingerprints on there and we don't want the weathering powders to show up in our fingerprints because it looks a little bit like you've been committing crimes. Maybe there's a little bit of the smoke, and again, depending how heavy you want this will determine how much powder you use, but again, I'm just going to get the dark earth on there, only under frame. Maybe a bit of smoke. And the powders all blend lovely. This is just a nice, simple trick of doing it. So you're not spending all day doing this. You can get your locos weathered and get them into service. Yeah, roof. We're going to use smoke around the exhaust ports, just to dampen it down, and then we're going to use a little bit of the dark earth just on certain areas, just a bit on there, just a little bit of roof grime, all of you, around the fan. Again, because we've got a black roof, it's quite hard to differentiate where the exhaust fumes are going to be from the roof, so if we just darken it down a little bit, lighten it up, and then darken down with the powders there. That's it. Okay, very good. And I think maybe actually just a little bit of black. Just a dab of the black over the exhaust there. Just to darken it back up again. Big blending brush. Circular motions. Really good. Right, I'm going to finish the other side of this and then go outside, lacquer it with the Hornby acrylic matte finish varnish, and then we're done. We're good to go. It's always worth mentioning that once you do put the lacquer on there, the effect of the powder will always be diminished afterwards. So if it looks too stark to begin with, don't panic, it will smooth out eventually. It's always worth bearing that in mind when you start using the powders, because it never ends up as vibrant as it looks, especially on camera. It always looks far more contrasted on camera than it actually is in real life. So with that said, let's have a quick chat about how I think we can bring Hornby back to its former glory. Now then, Hornby. No secret that recently they've been under a little bit of scrutiny for a few incidents. I think the most common one, or the most well-known one, would certainly be what I'm going to refer to as Tipgate, the tip field Thunderbolt fiasco, the issue between those and Rapido and Studio Canal, and copyright claims and not getting those rights in place before making your model first. Anyway, moving on from that, we then had the TT120 thing. It clearly not gone as well as Hornby had hoped. There's rumours on the internet, of course, there's always rumours, whispers and the beating of the jungle drums saying that Hornby have lost a lot of money and they are now contacting suppliers and distributors that they had previously, for lack of a better word, cut off in their tier system, hoping to stock TT120 in stores. You've also got Simon Kohler, who's left, and then now of course Montana is leaving as well. Two big names from Hornby, and the public facing side have gone as well. The Bluetooth decoders, which came out recently, I was really looking forward to them. Unfortunately, the one I had did fail. Wasn't too interested in the Bluetooth part of it, but having an affordable sound option was really appealing to me, and unfortunately it didn't work out for me, so I'm going to have to revisit that model of decoder a bit later on, once Hornby have had a little bit of time to iron out any issues that may or may not still be within the system. But all that being said, Are Hornby missing their own trick? Now, we've got Batman on the market making £300 models, we've got Cure Scale making £270 models, and we've got DAP and everyone else making super high quality, high fidelity models to use on your layout. But none of them make a quote unquote train set, just bits and pieces to add to your already built layout, be that a high fidelity layout or a train set or a little loop of track, or like myself, just 10 foot of track on a wall. That's what it's for. Hornby seem to be trying to cast their net too wide. When I was a lad, Hornby were in the Case catalogue, Toy Section and Argos and Index, hands up if you remember Index, and all the rest of them. And it'd be Flying Scotsmans and HSTs and all the rest of it, starter sets, and you get your over the track and that'll be it, and that's what your layout would be. It would be a Hornby starter track, a Hornby starter set, and maybe one of the expansion packs. And it just seems that lately Hornby are trying to jump out of that market, and I don't think that's such a wise idea. I think Hornby need to be going back into the shops, as many retailers as they can that stock their products, and make it affordable again. It's all very well releasing a limited edition Flying Scotsman for 350 quid because it's made from tin, but that's not what Hornby are about, in my opinion. In my view, Hornby are about affordable models, like for example the Railroad range. Fantastic idea. Yes, I know a lot of them are just warmed over acquired Lingua toolings with upgraded motors and a few more pickups on the wheels, but that's fine. As you've clearly seen, with a little bit of weathering and a little bit of forethought, you can add lighting to it so simply. And they're actually really affordable, and they don't run too badly either, as long as you put a quality decoder in them. I cannot stress that enough. You need to have a quality decoder in these. The motors are not the best, they're only a simple basic motor, and as such you need a decoder which is going to be able to run that well. I've always had really good success with the likes of DCC Concepts decoders, the Zen stuff. More recently the AE decoders. They're not as fine-tuned as the Zen range, but they do a job. I've also got Tram Fabric, I've used a couple of those before now as well. ESU, always a fantastic option. But are you really going to put a £130 sound chip into a 80 quid model? I don't think I would. And that's where the TXS sound decoders they've released will come into their own. Provided Hornby can get the TXS range ironed out and working smoothly, then I think that's really going to help them. You can have that, you can have your train sets, your starter sets, and then a few models like this, just to augment what you've already got, which you're going to keep bringing more people into the hobby. 00 is the way to go, let's face it, it is. Most people either want 00 because of space, they can't see Z gauge or N gauge or even TT gauge because it's too small and too fiddly. O gauge is nice, but it's just too expensive and too big. 00/HO has been the most popular scale for a very good reason. Now I know that Peachy will probably disagree with this because he's all about the 120 stuff, and that's fine. I'm glad to see TT 120s come about again, but it's never going to be 00. That's what Hornby need to remember. That's the starter sets the kids are going to want at Christmas, and that's the starter sets dads are going to want to play with as well. TT 120 is a good option, but it's never going to be 00. But what do you think? Am I on the right ballpark? Do you think Hornby need to be bringing themselves back into as many retailers as possible? Smith's toy stores, for example, that will stock them, needs to stock them. Stop being so fussy, Hornby. Let your public reach your product where they can. If you do that, I think you'll be in a much better place next year. But that's me done for this week ranting at you all. Thanks for watching, guys. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, all of the good stuff. And I'll see you all very soon. Cheers now. Bye bye.